Hello folks, welcome and welcome back. This is Gnomes, and today we are gonna start this, continue rigging the Dorothy, my OC, original character for sci-fi, even fantasy. This is a rigged model template, so it's not like the ultimate solution. I'm not doing a great job in the sense of conceiving a mesh object or a set of mesh objects just for the body, right? That would be like ideal for reusability in this character designs, this style, right? To change the shape. So there are some crazy ideas with geometry nodes, shape keys and stuff like that. You know, I don't have a base mesh, but this could be a strategy for the mesh objects. Then in terms of a template, right? So this I still need more experience to really understand if it could work in a good way for my character. However, for the armature object, I'm already sure that for the most case we can reuse the, right, we can make a template. So today we're gonna make a lot of stuff like experiments that are absolutely fundamental for character rigging, organic rigging, right? And I have a small list of things here. So one is related to thigh, to hips, thigh joints, right? Something about wave paint layering. There's a strategy that I want to investigate if it is true or not. It's an hypothesis, and we're gonna start with that one. The other thing is that I've just seen a tutorial. We can probably improve here the way regarding the mesh geometry and topology, but especially the geometry here and those simple joints at least. Maybe this can be used of other joints like complex joints, and possibly it could be used on intermediate joints, although it might not work for intermediate joints because there's not a main direction of bending like in the case of simple joints, right? Like the knee and the elbow, for example. But it could be used for the the knuckles. Yes, totally available here. So here I already made a mistake considering that approach. I've made a not a highlight. I have a yeah. So there's the idea that this will be right. Is the main direction of bending for the finger, for the phalanx here, and so this will collapse, tend to go inside, right? So instead we need to do this in the opposite direction, need to create more space in between these faces, and opposite conversely we need to do here we need these faces, this edge, they will stretch as the, so we can collapse them a bit more in the rest position. So what I did here is kind of very stupid, but I wasn't aware of this technique, or maybe I've learned, but it's like things that you need to do more and more and study more until realize. But for example, there is a special solution here for the mesh topology, but the arrangement of the geometry is not very good, so it can be improved. And also there's the question of the waves, of course, which is another crazy thing. And now there, yeah, so let's go for the other idea, which is Mr. Gibbs' fantastic tutorial, maybe you know about the combo, right? Linear blend skinning, non-preserved volume. Then you have an armature with target, armature modifier with a target vertex group for dual quaternion skinning, which is preserved volume followed by the multi-modifier. And what that means is that here we'll have so I didn't perfect this, but I believe it can be improved. There is some indication that this can be improved. So you see it's very, very rough. Not so rough, there's some smoothing. The smoothing, I'm not sure how it interacts. There are a lot of questions here, but the idea is that if we have some enough geometry density to play with, then we can probably wave paint this slightly differently than something very crude. This is slightly more than crude because we have some smooth, right? Very regular smoothing though. And see that I've applied this to the joint. So this is Mr. Gibbs technique, right? Anthony Gibbs. He has a great tutorial about this technique, and so you see you have the joints. But yeah, the geometry here is not particularly helpful, I think. But yeah, so I want to test in real time or with proper bendings if we can shape this wave painting in some ways that it will be a bit more advantageous. For example, I've rechecked the tutorial. Apparently it's not all around, right? Maybe you want the preserve volume actually in the, yeah, this is easier, right, in the direction of main bending. And maybe here we might want, for example, well, maybe we want more preserve volume in certain areas, not so much here. Maybe in the back, in the buttocks region, we would like maybe not here, right? Where do we want to preserve volume? So a lot of more minutious thought process that the artist, the rigger, the technician, that we need to approach. So this is currently it's very unthoughtful. I'm just following some of the bases of that tutorial that works for preserve volume, but it might not be good enough. Of course, remember that this cannot be exported. It's a skinning algorithm, a skinning method that is not necessarily available in every different software like game engine, so it doesn't go along with the FBX exporting file, but this I don't care for now. Anyways, the question here is that we can blend these skinning methods, and with this method we can get some, it can help solve some artifacts. But so instead of having just one single armature modifier with preserve volume, you just have one that is specially applied to certain regions. And I'm very curious to know if playing with the waves in a more let's say advanced way, we can get even better results than the crude thing here that I have. Is there some, yeah, there's even some things in the probably this is rogue waves. Let's get this, yeah, let's take this off because this is totally rogue waves, I guess. So we're gonna just take this off. Here we're gonna get a Falloff thing. Can I say, oh, I cannot say shortcut. There is Alt+F. I think Alt+F does not, so let's get a Alt+F shortcut here. Does nothing. Alright, let's try another shortcut then. Let's try Ctrl+Alt+F maybe. Yeah, now we have... Okay, anyways. Doesn't seem to... Oh no, this is working, right? It just goes on the top, right? So this will help this workflow here, and then we Ctrl+F. Yeah, what is the default thing? I think it's the preset. Custom smooth. Yeah, I don't know which is the, and I don't know why it's not available. Anyways. Okay, so let's make this the chat. Let's get it just sorry folks, let's just add a highlight for this because this is very important. Yeah, so Falloff. wave painting, shortcut. Yeah. Ctrl+Alt+F. There. So we're gonna find this. Yeah, okay, this is ready. Then I find the correct timestamp for this. Alright, so now we're gonna look for the... There's another thing besides this dual quaternion skinning method. There is a helper bone set up for the... I'm trying to figure out a system that will be very, very advanced to prevent deltas, the requirement of deltas for the certain helper bones. And what a delta is in case you don't know, so the delta is like we can use deltas for shape keys, like it's a diagonal. Sometimes it's used for the face with shape keys. Then like you have the smile, then you have the frown, then you have the stretch, or the mouth moves up. Like sometimes you mix something that goes up and to the side, and then when you move the bone in the diagonal, the blending between the two shape keys, the one up, one left, for example, it won't blend very well. This will create a very disrupted mesh, with a very corrupted mesh, because it wasn't posed, it wasn't modeled for that diagonal position. And so this, not only this is a reality, so this is a delta. A delta would be a specific corrective method for that diagonal shape or diagonal poses. So it also happened for certain helper bone setups. It's not the case of the fan bone. Let's find some fan bone here. So the big fan bone here, it doesn't suffer from delta issue because it okay, so here's a fan bone. It doesn't suffer from a delta issue because it actually automates the rotation on all directions, right? So it doesn't need, it's in itself, it doesn't need a delta. However, these mini bones here, which are, I'm calling them fanny bones, they are all parented. Well, the big one is parented this one, right? They are a sequence, right? So they move differently. They are supposed to use transformation bone constraint like a driver, but the problem is that this automates on just one by one axis. So this is for the positive axis of rotation of the thigh, or a mechanism thigh, which is a automator for this behavior. And so these are the fanny bones here. They are minor fixers of the skinning, right? They have very minute waves. Otherwise, these apparently have some waves, the others not. So this will follow this one. So this is a shuttle, as I call it, shuttle helper bone. This is a fanny bone, and this is a shuttle fanny helper bone because it's a fanny bone. So this is the big fan bone. We also have one here, so we can. These are dual fan bone setup. I've seen that CG Dive apparently had something like that, but he didn't invent the fan bone. It's like a at least 2004 technique. Some Australian professor that was using a software named Animation Master, and there was a 3D magazine. He made there was a document there, a review on his technique on that very old software I never used. So outdated probably, but maybe some of you guys might have heard about. Probably not. It's very anyways, and then he was doing this presentation of the technique. So it's excellent because as twister bones for corrections, we can use twister bones as helper detwister bones, right? They are derotators of the why, you see, they are derotators of joints, of meshes of the joint. So gradually, if you have bendy bones already, but we don't have the skeletal deformed bone here for the thigh, it doesn't matter here. But so instead, the fan bone or the fanny bones, they, at least this big one here, the idea is that it will cover not the y-axis but the x and the z-axis. We need a local, right, to do this on pose mode. Okay, the z rotation, the x rotation, so it's a plane, so they will do actually shift y. Okay, rotate, no, not this, rotate. I don't want to, okay, let's use this thing. So I didn't want the y rotation. So anyway, the fact is that it covers the x plus the z rotations. So it derotates the mesh on the joint region, on a joint region. In this case, this will derotate this joint here, right? The mesh around this joint, and this one can do the similar stuff, but in a mirrored fashion. So it's a dual fan bone system. There's no other. Here there's a thigh bone that's like this one, but here there is not a bone going up. So this bone is sort of loose, but I think this is better. I tried to align with a helper bone, with a skeletal bone here in the. We don't see it here, but it connects here the crotch to the spine, the crotch to the. So yeah, I tried to do this dual here, but this is not very good for, at least it's hard to understand what that helper bone would do if it was here. So I tried to align it here as usually we can do with other joints. So this is very specific setup. I'm not sure this will be beneficial, but for now, right, it's not. Okay, so because this is a fanny bone, these bones, the fan bone, this is mechanical because these fanny bones will contain the waves for this. There's a way to separate these waves, but maybe this is not very good for the delta thing. So okay, the problem is that these ones here, they would employ, so the transformation, this requires delta because this targets just this motion here. Yeah, as you see here, it just configure, well, certain things move, but you know, it's all related to the x and not to the z. And so why don't you place also the z here? Good question. Good question. Can this solve a delta? We'll have to make some tests, but my idea would be more complicated. Actually, this is complicated already. My concept here is to. So the thing is, I was conceiving something like, let's say, what's the name of this contraption? It's a transform, additive stacking transform, smooth fake parenting copy transforms bone constraint. So basically, what the hell crap is? You see that if you look this from the top, what we have here is actually look this bone. So it will be looking something like that from a top view. Let's use a grease pencil here. Why it's not showing? Annotations. Okay, I need some. This is all old, I guess, but anyways, we're gonna. Okay, so I'm not gonna draw here. Just gonna draw here. So the. Okay, so the character is facing this direction, but this is actually not the character. Would be here, let's say the center of the character, right? And this will be, imagine the leg, right? The left leg, right? Looking from the top, right? So what's happening here is that this is the arc of motion of perhaps helper bones, the fan bone, right? So what we need is actually, what I need is some sort of, this is very complicated, but we need some smoother motion. We need to activate these funny bones shuttler correctors, right? Helper bones. We need to activate them for the diagonals. So they need to move for the X, right? Rotation of the leg. That is the back and forth rotation. So X and Z. And so they need to, I think this is the negative X and this might be the positive Z if it goes up, right? Okay, yeah. This might be negative X and this is the positive Z as it moves up, okay? So, I have a shape here that I've drawn here. That would be something like this. So you see, it just looks like that, a bit more like that torso widget, right? Custom shape. So this is a delta. It's a XZ product in terms of driver, but I want to achieve an automation like this with a bone constraints. So the bone is doing some motion here, maybe more than this, I'm not sure, as well as here. It depends on parts of the anatomy. It doesn't need to be symmetrical everywhere, right? This can get complicated, but what we want is that while it's doing something like this and doing something, well, maybe bulging, the bone will go forward a bit more, a bit less, according to what we need. And same here, maybe it will go up and down, back and forth, I don't know, according to the Z. We want some interpolation between the what happens between the this, and so this is where we need to think about some sort of contraption that it's quite complicated, but that would automate this stuff. And I have a that proposition, so let's go again. It will be the additive stacking transforms. So it's a transforms. We might be able to achieve it with a simple, or not as a complicated copy transforms bone constraint. Maybe playing with the head and tail property of the transformation bone constraint. Let's see, for example, this one. Of course, we need to have an animation here to have to simplify this task here. So let's try to. This is a notation. I don't want the. This is a notation thing. So okay, let's keyframe here, and let's do this. Yeah, lots of artifacts here. To ignore all that. So you're gonna. Actually, I'm not. Okay, I'm gonna place this in the very beginning, and then here we're gonna place it here. It can be at the very end. Yeah. This is a good spot. Then insert keyframe. Well, all right. So this is all I need for now. It's very distractive here, but what we need here, we're gonna pick this bone. Apparently it doesn't have any bone constraints, so no automation. It's parent to the mechanism fan pelvis side. Yeah, that's the fan bone, right? The big one that was here. Then also an octahedral. Yeah, this one, right? Yeah, we're gonna be looking at it. So what I'm gonna do here is that. Okay, no automation for this bone. We can probably, so if I add a copy transform, so you can maybe make some tests here. Gonna do the armature here, gonna do the neck thigh, right? Left, yes, this one. So this is replaced. We don't want that. We want something that will be, so let's use this for now. I think let's try the custom, no, local space. We're gonna use a fake parenting setup. So this is the fake parenting. It's a fake smooth fake parent, because we can, right, do this. So alright, so the bone is having a rotation, right, big pivotal thing, like it's like it's parent offset to the mechanism, which is not actually good. So maybe we have to do something different here for now, but yeah, so we have a little problem here already because of the target. Maybe we can split this thing, right? But anyways, let's try for a moment to abstract this rotation. And I thought about maybe driving this property so that why the neck thigh is inverted? Maybe it's not inverted. Let's take a look. No, it's just the behavior of interesting transforms. I don't understand why it's doing this, but anyways, yeah, it is targeting the because this is the it is the wrong one. Okay, we're gonna pick this instead. Yeah, we picked the wrong one, sorry. Let's go back here, and so we're gonna add a copy transforms and gonna do the fake parenting again. So mechanism thigh left, then local space, custom space, Control V, Control C, Control V, there we go. So, and also this. All right, so now this is a deformed bone. No. Okay, why suddenly this mesh start to go crazy like that? Very distractive. It wasn't like that before. It's just no, it didn't keyframe anything. This fan bone is still here, so yeah, this fan bone seemed to be reacting wrongly. Did I messed up this? Yeah, this is not inverting the... It's not doing its job properly. There's no keyframe here. So you see this fan bone, the master fan bone should be doing the inverse, right? So interesting. Copy transforms. Yeah, it's oh, because this I've added accidentally, right? Yes, there was no automation. This was I've added. It's the what we can do here. I'm gonna ignore this for now. but we could achieve with a copy rotation or fake a copy, mimic a copy rotation, a copy with a transformation bone constraints. Sometimes it's safer because this has a lot of complicated stuff, but here we're gonna just use let's try to see if that works here. Mechanism tie left. Let's see if yeah, so here's an inversion on so this is the typical fan bone technique, right? This will automate in all orientations, right? All axes, and it's symmetric, right? All right, so this is a derotation, right? We don't need the Y's because there's a bendy bone there, so you don't, in principle, you don't need the Y's. This could be dangerous actually if we keep the Y's. Maybe, yeah, it could create extra transforms on the Y, and that can flip the bendy bones and destroy the skinning method. Apparently, it suffers with some sort of dual quaternion skinning artifact. I'm not sure it's an armature thing or if it's a mesh thing, but it affects the bendy bones twisting, so it's unfortunate. Okay, but usually the joints will not bend like more or less than 180 positive negative degrees, so it's safe on they're not twist as much as that, so you need to be careful. So you have these extra transforms here that could when we already have a bendy bone doing some twisting on the y-axis rotation, then this could stack transforms and destroy the mesh. It's difficult that it can happen depending on the setup, but it's a risk, so why take the risk, right? There's already automation for the... Okay, so what we're gonna do here... Okay, where's the shuttle? Okay, this one, right? Okay, let's... Is the left one? Okay. Right, so you're still having the pivoting, which is not exactly what we want. To prevent this pivoting, why this bone? Yeah, the bone is exactly located on the region of the, because it's a deformed bone. Well, it can be a deformed bone. It should be. I wouldn't like to place it there, right? The way to prevent the ballistic rotation, which could be tragical here, would be to change this fake parenting. It is parent. No, but it has the parent, right? We need to... Yeah, no, copy location would be disastrous. Copy rotation. Local space, local space. It will still pivot because, yeah, because of the, it's a parenting relation, right? So of course we don't want this pivoting here, or maybe we want after all. Yeah, we want. So the bone here is still it's a deformed bone. No, it's a mechanism. Okay, it can hold waves, but it's because it's carrying the others, right? And some others are deformer and have waves. This one hasn't. Maybe we should wave paint here to this one to make some tests. But what we want here is to be able to. Okay, so the pivoting here is correct. It's not wrong. This is an X rotation. Additive stacking transforms, smooth fake parenting, copy transforms, bone constraint, drive to mimic translation for the ballistic rotation. Okay, single composited driver multivariable. Okay. So remember maybe that motion there that remembers the torso widget. So what we would like to have is that this bone probably need to push it forward as a right. So to push it forward relative to the x-axis, we'd probably also like to push it sideways on the x. So let's first get some waves here. Otherwise we are not get anywhere. It will be, you're gonna see, so there's no waves here. Its position also doesn't seem very correct for waves. There's some restrict. This is the, yeah, this is the front part, so indeed we're gonna wave here. Probably this is enough waves, or this could be already very dangerous if we keep adding waves here. Actually, this is too strong, right, for a helper bone. But this is the main one, so yeah, I'm gonna reduce this. All right, so this can be sufficient. So this bone needs to push, right, that mesh there. And you see that it's not very good because all this mesh here is probably needs some, also needs some pushing, right? You need to push this thing also. Reset. Okay, let's see. Alright, so move along its local z-axis. Okay, that will do this. No automation yet. So you see, what I want is to have this bone travel, making some arcs to solve the delta with the simplest. This is why I cannot just make a transformation bone constraint for the x-axis, maybe, or one for the x and one for the z-axis. This will not be sufficient for the delta, because the delta is usually a product. So I need a different target, a bone that would be sort of a, that will make that motion, right, abstract. It's very complicated, right? I can barely scratch the notion that I have had in my mind, but I know there is some, I have this intuition that this is perfectly feasible if I can find the way to automate this. Alright, so we are gonna go again for the I need some mapper, right, for the diagonal. So here, let's say it needs to move forward. So what could I've written here that a driver could do this, a single composited one driver, multi-variables affecting the property of the, okay, its own property, right? So let's use again. Okay, so this will be like a fake parenting that it's just doubling stuff, right? Which is not good. So instead, I'm going to clear parent. And, well, maybe we temporarily just parent it to this. Nope. So we got to... What do I need to do here? And what went wrong with the mesh there? As soon as I've unparented, I think I've unparented another the fan bone too. Yeah. Okay, indeed, is this one. Let's unparent. Okay. And let's enable this. For some reason, it doesn't seem to like to follow the... It's not working as I... This is parent to the mechan... Okay, I got the idea. We need to use the same parent here. So we're gonna... There we go. And now it's this stacking transforms because the mechanism is not offsetting, right? The mechanism is here. This offsets, and now the fan bone, the fanny bone, this one. Now it sort of mimic this, so it's stacking this to its fake parenting thing. Maximum, so it's just is as it has two parents, but it ultimately it's in taking this motion, right? Perfect. Here the bone constraint, but now the thing is, because it is parented to, okay, the orientation doesn't seem very cool. What if I change the target here? Just one moment. Yeah, that's not good. So, return. We could, if we drive this on demand, it will follow that direction, but it's not gonna work, right? It doesn't mean too much for the deforms. Could still be valuable. We needed to map this to a different, right? Can we play with this thing? And no, we can't. We can't cheat the setup here. This is very weird, right? If we do something like crossing stuff. Yeah, it's following the orientation of the... Yeah, no, this is really, it disables everything, right? So no, it's actually... What does this one do? Nothing. Okay, so let's go back here. Custom space. Here, this probably won't help. Nothing to see here. Yeah, nothing important in this case. All right, so We need probably another bone constraint, so to stack on top of this. Here, nothing really have changed. My conceptualization was certainly a bit... I'm looking at a piece of paper here. X, Z. Right, so we're gonna test the transformation, the double thing. Maybe we can achieve something with that. Or actually I have a better idea right now. What if we get a mapper bone that understands? Yeah, possibly the mapper bone is the best approach here. So we're gonna use right here, and we're gonna add this for the as a helper. Pen, yeah, we're gonna add here. So we just parent these to the, so we're gonna call this map pen thigh left, okay, parent to the mechanism. We're gonna change this color here, and we're gonna symmetrize because we can. Okay, so now this is mapping that position. We're gonna use this as a target, space target, right, for certain transforms. You could even use it as so here I'm not sure we need this, so we're gonna redo this parent here because it's doing exactly the same stuff. So maybe this now is free to, yeah, this is free to do freer, right? Less interference. So now you need to do is to, you see the good thing about this bone here, it serves as a reference, spatial reference to, even when or if we rotate the leg here, this is still a reference, spatial reference, like diagonal stuff, where this bone can do something about it. And so there we go, right? So it's like a curve it needs to do on space. This doesn't necessarily relate how the mesh needs to deform anatomically, but if we abstract it, simplify this idea, this indeed can provide some sort of automation that can be helpful on all the scope of motion that the thigh needs. The thigh needs. So the question is what we do with this, right? So this is just one X thing, right? And here already we need to do something like this, right? But of course it's not sufficient for all the deforms to fix, right? But this is because a lot of other things are garbage right now. How can you use a bone like this? Because this bone, it travels in 3D space. So this bone knows delta. This bone knows delta somewhat, but it's just following by parenting here, so it's just not sufficient. We can use a custom. Okay, so let's try something here. There's another approach, but yeah, there'll be inverse kinematics. Maybe for the leg, why not? Could be interesting. But for this, I'm gonna take a note of this crazy idea. ikey helper setup for the leg, yeah. This can be very, yeah, this could solve some problems, critical problems, but here let's get this thing to work. So yeah, I'm gonna delete this thing. We're gonna copy transforms, right? But we don't want this replacement. So a fake parenting thing again. And here is where maybe we need to activate something. Already see that head and tail won't it doesn't have any string here to value, because this bone is oriented anyhow. It's not doesn't have any adequate, yeah, you see this is too little. This doesn't offer much control. It depends of course on the size of the bone, right? So this is very limited, right? But it's there, so it's a feature that we could use, but I think this is too risky. It's too restrictive. We need to make this bone let's see. We need the also, yeah, it will be better if we had this, this, and finally this. Yeah, this. So we're gonna make finally we're gonna make selection sets. Yeah, thigh, assign, there we go. Select, there we go. Edit mode also got this fixed. So we could make another keyframe here, or this delta. Yeah, let's create keyframes for just these ones. Expand the timeline, then we're gonna keyframe here, insert and reset and insert, there we go. Forgot something about the foot here, I guess. No, just wrong keyframing here. I didn't reset. Okay, now this is good. Let's do just a little more here. There we go. This I think is the preserve volume thing, but it's not working very well for this deform, but this is another topic, so we can survive this visualization. How can we push this activate towards it based on how much the type rotates forward and sideways, right? So there is the driver, right, thing that I have already in this system here on, yeah, I need to do this on pose mode, so you have something like Where's the mappers? No, they are not here. So we have some mapper here. There we go. So we have. So this bone has one of these product drivers. Rotation, absolute, okay, so it has this. So what we could do is perhaps we could copy this driver, or we could use its, actually, yeah, we can use this bone as a target for certain things. Its motion seems a bit weird. The way it's reacting. So let's try to augment this a little more. Yeah, so it's going inversely, it's going down with the X. And if we try to do this, it seems to understand that this is the maximum. It's okay to reset here. Let's include this one. Okay, so this is just playing with the X. It seems a bit lost, doing some crazy motion that makes no sense to me. The X is just growing, so why it is... yeah, it seems to be jerky, doing some weird motion. It's like the... probably corrupted in some way. Absolute, this is a normalization. So if this is the axis rotation is negative, it will become always positive. There's always a positive value. So this I did for another reason that I don't remember now. But yeah, it's moving in a very jerky way, so this is not any good for continuation of this. Yeah, so this is very sad. I can't rely on this for now. Maybe the target is incorrect. Now it's using the mechanism Z. Yeah. No, never mind. So have to. A lot I've been done with this rig, so maybe it's doing some job, but it's probably the product here is going crazy there from Alright, so this is very boring. We need to maybe go back to this one, right? So I need this bone to be pushed. I see. Okay, I got an idea. So we're gonna make this bone do a copy location. Local space. Why it's not respecting the normal? The axis, yeah, why it's not? Okay, it's remembering its original state, maybe. Okay, let's not use the copy location. Let's just use a fake. Maybe this will be better. We need to give it a... Yeah, we need to apply this and... But hold on, maybe there's another way. No, so it doesn't understand because this is a... I think it's trying to get this motion here. And so the fact that the bone has moved doesn't get it to... At least not this one, right? Very interesting. So, also, what is its parent? Yeah, it's just... Oh, hey, it has the same parent, right? Also, there's another problem. So, this is very stupid, right? So, it's like we need to just add some stuff. We can do it with the... Yeah, this is like the transformation. There's probably a better way, but we're just stacking some stuff here. So map from... Oh, I see. Okay. We're gonna use this negative, right? So we have some... Let's say negative 150 for now and 0, and then we have 120 just to differentiate. Okay, so we have this map from, and then we'll have a map to. I just want to move the... So this is... I don't know how this will relate. Yeah, they will be stacking, right? Let's bring... yeah, X and Z, add, yeah, add. So you're gonna... Here the minimum. For the X. Yeah, sorry. Oh, I see. This is useless because it's just source X in the Y. Yeah, everything in the Y. Okay, so no, it's not like this. Okay, so it's the output. Yeah, so we needed 2 of them, right? So this doesn't work. Yeah, we can't do this with just 1, unfortunately. But okay, if we just copy here, let's see what it is doing. So we see it will be for the X, this one. So we could do this, right? We add something like here, right? So what you'll see is that it will stack these transforms there, right? So what we see is now this bone is displacing, right? And now what we have is that the leg is still, yeah, so you see it's following because the leg is still rotated on the axis, but it doesn't have a Z1. So as soon as I start to move this, like for example like here, the thing starts to return, right? Because there's no there's already no more this is a Z rotation, it's not an X rotation, so there's nothing that would work here. So I'm not doing product here, I'm doing additive stuff, and this might be manageable. What we need here so is to bring this one again. So this is just using a fake parenting. We could even smooth this, right? To the map, right? But let's leave it at the maximum for now. Because so now what we can do is pick this one, and we'll need to reproduce this. So I don't know if it can be, yeah, the problem here, we'll need other stuff for the back bending, maybe. Yeah, so for now let's just leave like this. So positive Z. In principle there would be no negative Z because, well, it's the leg bending inward, right? But this might not be required. And then what you do here is that instead of using this, we're gonna use the Z, and we negate this. We use this one, but for the Z, yes. So this will be a positive. Doesn't seem to be. Max should be here. It's not responding. Minimum is the default. This can't be correct, or unless this is really the rotates. This is locked, we can't pause. Okay, oh wait, this is so they're finally getting somewhere. I see. Maybe it's not a very good way to pose this. The leg gets very disrupted. Need to be careful about what the bone would be doing, right? No, it's not twisting like crazy, right? So yeah, this is very, very dangerous. Need to figure out how to. The I key is going crazy there. Anyways, let's try. We can use limit Z for the control, right? But I think it's irresponsive. Because of the pole target. It would be will not work. try this one. Now the Z is still going very nuts, so it's probably not. Yeah, this is not. It seems to have some effect. Try to simplify this. No, the leg is still going nuts. Yeah, so no, I see some offsetting. Ah, because this is not okay. There's not the right bone. First of all. This is the right one. Alright, but this will be something more of the I key madness, not something that we... It's not about the forms directly. So we need to focus back on the stuff here. So let's see, why don't we get... Yeah, then we are back again on the same problems because this bone doesn't recognize the Z. Okay, rotation. Let's just check here what is the... Okay, while it's doing that, it's doesn't matter. Let's reset. Ah, its orientation seems very wrong from the... No? What's happening to this rest position though? Very disrupted rest position, right? So let's just keyframe everything here. Okay, so maybe this is why this thing, was not... Yeah, this thing was going crazy because of a injured twisting of the... Okay, so even now this is back, could have used... But this is like more accurate. Right now it's... Okay, so let's see where it will be using the driver. And this time, let's also make sure we add this. Assign, okay. So by default, this bone here should Z. Better do this on. I need normal. Okay. Oh, this is negative. That's why. Okay. So, not familiar with that. I don't know what's happening. Usually it was the positive. Okay. Now I think I got it. So we need to go back here. Okay, selection set Shift T, I guess. No. Control T, no. Alt T, no. T, no. Shift A, okay. There we go. So here now we'll see change here. So it is the inverse actually. This is to be disrupt, to be placed here as a negative value, and here we just not delete, just backspace. There we go. So now we can add a value here, no, here, to add this as it goes negative. Yeah, of course this can extrapolate, but this will be like dangerous. So now this is not stacking. Now it is stacking. So this is very much a delta, an additive delta, if that makes sense. So here you have the X, but the fact is that this bone, we don't know how much there is of each one of the X and Z, but what we know is that it is probably being affected by 2 on the delta. It goes more, and this of course affects the bone more than if we pose here, right? Of course, with the problems that we need to investigate what's going on with the, then we see that it's going additively much more because of some inconsistency. We could probably play with this, but no, this is so the okay. So little, oh, we can test. Yeah, so there's little X in this and a lot of Z here for some reason. So we're gonna do this. Should never, I didn't see what was the maximum, right? And so if I bring this pose higher, then this should go a bit more. We can probably exaggerate a little more this value here. Yeah, of course that will make the value here be different. No, this is not the right way. Okay, so a good thing is that if we get like let's say 0.2, we'd know that anything that extrapolates 0.2 means that we have added both. So it's a it's not super good, but it can be okay. And here it's different because yeah, we need to see the maximum rotation. So this is a bit hard to test, unfortunately. but somewhere when it reaches here, okay, so no, actually not, actually it's simple. Whichever the value here, when it reaches the minimum, then we get this maximum. So okay, it's like it's easy actually. Same here, when we reach whichever value here is the minimum, then we reach this minimum, which is here. So yeah, and if they stack, then we got a very strong extrapolation, like here, which makes sense because here is a diagonal. Do we want this maximum extrapolation? This is, and how much can it be? Okay, here we have even more, and here we know that we have a problem with that we don't know what is going on. So we have some x, some positive, some negative x, and we have some, and we also have a lot of negative z here, of course, and a few. Okay, so this is not too bad actually. And then what is gonna do is that this will automate this fan bone in a sort of, yeah, so this bone is gonna be pushed like, so it is following, it's trying to find the delta, right? So it is automated additively. We could do this by product if we used that property here, this bonus keyframe. We don't want actually to keyframe this bone. I just here, let's delete. All right, so if I copy this driver, for example, we could command this bone to follow a driver, right? So it would be something like an extra transformation bone constraint. So see how useful the transformation can be. We can stack it on top of the parenting relation of the same bone, because this owner bone is also parent to the mechanism style. You can't do this very well without with other bone constraints apparently. So here we got so map from actually map from a driver. No, it's not like this. Actually, we're gonna do what I'm doing. We're just gonna get a driver here indeed. So we're gonna delete this why it has, okay, here, okay, we don't want keyframes for this. We're gonna add a driver, paste driver, to, of course it's going the opposite direction, so we're gonna edit and we're gonna do a I don't know, it's receiving an, okay, because of the X, right? So instead we're gonna, whichever value will be positive, so for the positive Y, yeah. Okay, so now we have a product, and this is way more. Maybe it's not as good as the, I don't know, in principle that will be the correct technique, but Who knows, maybe addition can also work well sometimes. Okay, so the delta here, this is the product where we have a lot of both, right? And here is more about the Z. We can also check here that we could, for example, with this leg here, we duplicate this and we're gonna actually do this one, right? Very exaggerated. And so you see, as much as it tries, it cannot reach too much. But then we go here, but don't know what's going. Okay, it's just going back a bit fast, and then some corrupted interpolation, but whatever. I think we need to clear some keyframes here. Yeah, I think this thing might be need to interpolate to make new. There's some glitchy thing here. Yeah, so the driver is it's not the driver that is particularly dangerous. Okay, here big driver, and then here less. Big delta, right? And of course this is making this poor helper bomb have a lot of traveling. And in principle, trying to catch that position in real time, right? Like this is probably not very nice, but then what you can do is to reduce this, right? So we can have, then I don't know for the back bendings of the leg, right? Okay, so if you create a motion path here for this bone, we might be able to see some sort of let's see the range of motion it would have in different let's say for example, okay, let's keyframe these two. And let's GZ GX. No, they are moving wrongly. Yeah, because they are. Okay, I need to use the global. Okay. Insert keyframe, and then insert keyframe. Okay, so what we have here is that we'll see what will happen to that curvature of this bone in regarding to this last motion. Ctrl T. Looks like here it loses a lot of there's not enough X here. Okay, that's why it stays there, and then it starts to okay, so this is interesting, right? Of course, if we get for this this motion, if this was a bit higher, that would have been different. Why it doesn't want to... Yeah, let's clear this thing. Okay, I don't know what's all this junk there. Oh yeah, it's all the range, right? So I don't want that. Let's try to... Yeah, this is better, right? We can just find how much of this. Okay, so this is sort of the curvature that the delta is responsible for. Now we're gonna try to change the setup here. And we're going to just disable the driver. And how come this bone is like this? Probably it's not keyframe. Okay, this bone is reset, it's not keyframe. And we got here the, yeah, this is a different value. Let's give a bit more. And of course, if we stabilize this feet here, oh yeah, there's this test here to do. Here is the curvature of the delta. The bone has moved a lot, right? Yeah, it could do other stuff, but this is just a basic automation. There will be other bones like that. How much of this? A lot of negatives D and a few of, yeah, this seems correct, yeah. I know which the results of the deforms is better, but anyways, the fact that this would never solve all that. But the advantage of this is that it is following the delta here, the diagonal, so it has... So yeah, so you have found here two ways, an additive and a productive one and an additive one. The product one is the default, right? So you can use a bone like this to make this thing go in that particular direction, respecting the diagonal. So it's that's why this arc is made. But for the arc to form meaningfully, it needs, of course, that the leg is already bent on a certain amount of X rotation, and then it also needs then to add some Z rotation. Then we will bring this thing to get this bone will be moved forward, like if it was trying to reach a head tail, right? But in a more complex way, because at this point it is, yeah, no, it's something like that, but with a fake parenting, right? A smooth fake parenting. So here we could decide. So it's unclear how this will work for all the funny bones, but the fact is that, so one other question is the orientation. So the direction is okay, the delta thing, the additive or product, that's what I'm carrying right now, but I think both seems to be usable. I'll stick probably with the driver, but I don't like it, but yeah, it's not that hard. We need to see the orientation, because now this bone is following this orientation, but maybe we would need different mappers according to this is a central one, right? This could be bad, or it could work. Like for the front, maybe we need this bone to be a spatial reference to be here. So this bone will be tracked like it moved up. Or maybe it needs to be, we don't know, right? Probably it's up. Then we need probably one for each of these things. And in this way we could map the... for every fan bone here, we could give this every group, right, actually, one section of this, and each one of them will be doing deltas, right, automated deltas. It's another approach, sounds pretty complicated, but it might be better than delta. It's a way to automate the delta, let's say, because it's more, it will be more intuitive, let's say, like that, less analytical, or it's a combined motion, so it's a composed thing that may easily solve certain things. We'll have to try for each one of these bones. There are many. We'll need to find out. Actually, it will be just a copy paste for the bone constraints, or the for example here, let's see what we have here. So yeah, we have these shuttle bones, penny bones, right? And these interior ones are shuttle bones. But we could call them, all of them, shuttle penny bones, right? But the fact is that, yeah, we have, we would, in the front, in the inner, outer, and back leg. And so each of them needs to react differently because it relates to the anatomy. So this is why it's so complicated. Not a lot of symmetry for this, for the joint here. But if we just do for the X and the Z, positive, negative, with transformation bone constraints, then what we end up having is that we also then need to solve not just this, and this, but we need to solve the deltas with additional. So this actually, I've made this shuttle to solve not only the critical problems, also to solve just the delta. So the last one probably is a delta 1, delta fixer, and these ones, they, yeah, so it's a with this new approach that I'm doing, maybe there is a chance that I just need to use the big ones, and so the shuttle ones might be, maybe we can ignore them. and these are already solved regarding to deltas. So this needs to be devolved more, but I think that I found the hypothesis seems to make sense. So it was difficult to realize what could solve, but it was just this. You need a mapper that can, and maybe many mappers. So actually I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna prompt. We probably will need something like back. I need to see how this will react to the change. Okay, but anyways, now before this, let's Shift D here and Shift D here, and then doesn't need to be symmetric here. The leg is not symmetric anyways. This will depend right on the requirements. They actually have all the same setup, right? Yeah, they have the same setup. We could play that. I still don't know how it will react for the back there, but it's fine. The drivers weren't copies, so it's annoying to deal with drivers. But the thing here, yeah, they are moving in sync, I guess. Yeah, this is they are following the additive, I guess. So yeah, they are moving in sync. Maybe this is not what we need all the but this will be super complicated, because then we need to, each one of them needs to usually that's how it's done, but I prefer to fix just the amount here. So it's more about their positioning here, and maybe the way they move, because they are mapping. Maybe they could be oriented in not always facing like this, but maybe right here we could, I don't know, make some rotation. Yeah, I can't control them here, but yeah, I don't know why I can't rotate on the way that I want, but like oh, they are okay, of course. Yeah, this one. So maybe they could be like this or like this. This will change the orientation, right? So I'm not sure what will be best here, but this will need further investigations. We're already making this, so we know that what can be done here. Where is this? Why are you there? I think it's a bad keyframe. I think I've unparented it. Yeah, accidentally unparent. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is one one of the experiment that is going forward. And maybe, so this is big stuff. If I can, if this works for this shuttle funny bones, then we can this is delta solving in a more intuitive way, even though it is also complicated, but I think this is it's an advantage. So the other stuff, now that we have this gone, why don't I have the action editor here? Okay, the other problem was the idea of the wave pane layering. So I need a backup here. I'm gonna save a copy. I'm gonna go save in a work in progress stuff here. A version. You're not seeing that, sorry, but just manually set the iteration 21. So this is test before running pelvis test of the, what is the name of this, wave paint layering. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is that we're gonna make some very crazy thing here. I already have okay face loops here, but we're gonna do something very special. We're going to subdivide this a few times, and I think I've already done this before and with few good results, but this time I'm gonna go deeper in some idea of wave paint layering. And yeah, probably this is the way to go. Maybe it could be done another, I think this is the good one. So the leg will be all this chunk here. The idea is to try to isolate more and more the rotating mesh. Very critical artifacts will happen, but to isolate these artifacts in specific location, and exactly in this joint location with more wave. And because we'll have a grid here, so sort of a better organized grid, then we could wave paint, make a layering, a more subtle gradation of waves alongside here. So this will be of course require some wave painting, and we're gonna have to be working very closely in this thing. We're fixing some waves, so we'll have to destroy some stuff here. So that's why I made the backup. We're gonna get where's the tie here? Exactly. So currently this might be very bad, so we're gonna, not very bad, it's just not sufficient, so we're gonna push this, the interface of the wave paint layering. You see it's very smoothed out everywhere, but we're gonna try to isolate the gradation on this, along this face loop here. And so this I'll be back soon. Hold on, I need 4 minutes. Okay, folks, back. So again, we're gonna make this test of wave paint layering, isolating the joint on a very specific region. And yeah, so I think I've already tried this once, but maybe my concept, my understanding was not that good at that time. This is why it works doing more beveling. Maybe it's better right now, because subdivision can create some artifacts. Apparently this bevel didn't destroy any topology there. Let's see what happens there. Yeah, this seems good. All right, so we're gonna see what happens in other critical regions, like here. I think it's the same solution. Yeah, so it's smart thing here. We're gonna shift E -1, shift E 0.3, right, restoring those things. And here also gonna bevel here. Let's reorganize these meshes here. Okay, this should be sufficient. So this probably already solved the wave paint in the sense of the interpolation. Yes, this seems to not have disrupted. Alright, but now it's time to, yeah, so I'm gonna start destroying this. This is a file that is saved. We have a backup already, so we're gonna start bringing the tie up. And we could count with, yeah, so this can be very mechanical because we're gonna select the entire edge loop, right, and try to smooth that out. Already this one could be smoothed out, this that I'm wave painting here. Yeah, it would be better if we could test some results. We want the deformed skeleton. If it was okay, it is here. We want the control skeleton, maybe. No, just the body control master. That should be good enough, yeah. Now we need the skeleton, yeah, so that's all body controls there. Alright, so we can probably pick this edge loop. Yeah, it continues here. We could probably make this a little more organized in a different way. Alright, so now we gonna, yeah, pick back this thing. We're gonna find the 2. We're gonna find some wave here that is start to smooth out this thing. That doesn't seems a bit too far, so let's redeploy this. What's happening here? Why I can't GG this thing? Something about certain vertices. GGC, no. Okay, whatever, that doesn't matter. So now we got another edge loop, right? This one is easy. This one is also easy. And then there is the problem here that we need to okay, I think this should work. We have there, okay, there it is. And about these others, well, okay, I'm tempted. Let's just erase here. Because I want to see the crude results of this very mechanical approach. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's probably not gonna work, but we need to compensate now with this one, right? Why we can improve this, right? We could start by, yeah, let's expand here and let's see. Okay, let's bring this at the very edge. This is too strong, but we're gonna fix this gradually. Okay, now we have this face loop. Okay, this one is an easy one. Is this even working? No. Yeah, this is working, right? Then we Go back to this one. I'm not in a rush because I don't expect this to work anyways. But it's a good experiment. Maybe it doesn't work fully, but it starts to give some interesting results, and that means that something could be built on top of that. So it could be a good direction to work from. That means that it could be a better approach than what I'm already doing. So giving more waves to, yeah, so exactly, working on this wave paint layering idea means like a more organized mesh distribution on these joint locations, right? So favoring, yeah, maybe a few more wave painting there, yeah, wave paint layering, right? Okay, finally, this, now there is still one bone that I'm worried about. It probably should have a lot of interference. Yeah, so probably need to do something about this bone here. We're gonna focus on the wave paint layering, although, yeah, it can be responsible for many big problems, although it doesn't move like this, right? Yeah, it's stealing too many waves, so we're gonna, let's just yeah, destroy everything here. Invert, destroy, invert, mirror, right? Select mirror. Let's re-wave paint this, favoring the, again, okay, we can do something like this. Is this right? Maybe it's not good. Yeah, we have excessive selections there. Not good. Okay, then reduce and do something like here. Yeah. And now we need to find these extrapolations, which, yeah, let's do this manually. Okay, this can be the continuation here indeed. So all these bones can be hidden. Maybe this is too much already, but let's try. This should be not very significant to the overall result anyways. It's just it's more to fix it than to find it as the thing that will save the world. But it is one skeletal bone. Alright, so here why do you have these ones? Okay, it's because of all that. Okay, let's maybe paint here and okay, let's leave it as this. There might be other waves here which could be very bad. Let's see. Okay, deform hips, deform spine. This seems to be extrapolating. Let's not allow it. to reach this region here. Is the spine, right? So what about this? Yeah, this probably we don't. We need some, find some limit here. It's a bit hard to find the limit right now. Yeah, probably we want this wave paint. Yeah, so instead we're gonna include, but we need to smooth this thing. Here we got a lot of bad stuff. Yeah, why not? We can have some waves here. It's probably not necessary, just because I want this follow this thing here. Yeah. Alright, anything else that could be very disruptive? Hips. This I haven't touched too much, so let's try to smooth this around here. No. Yeah, maybe we could have more waves here, but that's fine. Let's leave it like this. Spine, hip left already worked on that. Thigh already worked. Crotch, okay, this sounds relevant. We're gonna take off these waves here. Okay, let's just smooth here what could be more usable. Maybe up to here, that's fine, provided as long as it's smoothed. Okay, this might be fine, and maybe we don't need all these waves here. We can do this. Okay, so now we have the crotch done. We Let's see, anything else? Okay, that's all about these helper bones that are actually very bad everywhere. Yeah, probably need to um helper helper pelvis tie. Okay. This might be important. Yeah, the fan bones, right? Okay, this is gonna ignore for now. We can wave paint this later. This okay, this for the heat. We need to revise the, yeah, this is garbage right now. Of course, we need at least the oh yeah, so we can also address this one. Preserve volume. We don't want this to be in wrong region. Strength, of course. Here you can see what it is about. So it's a Glauco turn skinning extra target armature object just for joint region, and now you have a very special joint region for this, so we need to readdress this. So yeah, so this will be maintained like that. We can, what you can do is this. Now this won't work. This will work. Okay, let's validate this. And finally, yeah, so the fan bone, right? It would be relevant to have the fan bone to work, but we can already make some tests finally and see if this is absolute garbage or if this actually grants anything valuable. I'm doing this for the sake of science, of skinning. Let's see. Okay, so there's a lot of intersections. But we see that the leg, yeah, so this is of course horrible. But something curious seems to be happening nonetheless. There's something about the fact that the leg is moving up, right? Which is not to be very surprising, but yeah, this is the worst, of course. Yeah, no, this is as expected. So the preserve volume is not preventing this sort of volume loss artifact, because actually this is the rotation of that the wave mesh going ballistically inside, right? Same as here, right? So, but here we see less because the type is on the front. So, despite of the diagonal shape of the wave paint layering, right? We are not able to get yeah, so a lot of clipping, but internally this is what's happening. So yeah, it's very tough. If we wave painted maybe a few more extrapolation for the leg, it's good, but it's not good for the belly and the pelvis and everything there. And so this is the very much the danger. Yeah, then not even talk about the buttocks. We would have to test also. Yeah, I think I've seen what happened. Basically the leg, yeah, the buttocks sinks into the pelvis, which is yeah, especially here. So as expected that this should happen. So we can try if the so now is where the fan bones can bring some corrections here. We need to wave paint that. I'm gonna use the typical technique involving fan bone creation. So we need to go on wave paint mode. We need yeah, first we need to find the armature object. So we're gonna go for the skeleton and the fan. Yeah, so there would be this, which is currently not a deformed bone. We're gonna make it into a deformed bone. We're gonna copy this vertex group. Actually, first we need to get the name of the fan bone. Then we're gonna Go back on wave paint mode. We're gonna copy, duplicate this, Ctrl V, and make sure that it is, yeah, so it's symmetrized. We are gonna now this fan bone already has an automation, so we don't need to handle it. All we need to do is to destroy the some waves here. So now the fan bone is acting on this mesh only. But we'll probably need to. So the wave paint layering, what maybe we need some more waves, smoothing, more subdivisions won't solve the, this is too strong, right? It's yeah, so it's the skinning method, right? There's nothing we can do with the wave paint layering on its own, right? We need to do this with this other setups here. We're gonna do some smoothing here, and there we leave as it is. This will correspond to a derotation of this region that I'm wave painting here. Not that this part will need derotation, but yeah, just we have derotations here. There's another helper fan bone. I'm not sure it is automated. It has mechanism parent. Yeah, no, not automated. So in order to automate, we could use yeah. Anyway, so here now we're gonna see if the results of the. We're gonna check if this helper bone on top of all this condition brings up some hope. Better if you check. I see the derotation, so the fan bone is derotating only that mesh that is suffering a lot from this, and apparently no, it's not sufficient, right? Terribly not sufficient. It looked all around, right? Yes, it is everywhere, but it's with to no avail. So all this regular stuff, it's not really helping. This what I'm doing is incorrect. That is just to see if that there's any chance to produce better results, but certainly not. Most likely not, right? It's not actually it's, yeah, it would need to derotate way more to have more substantial results. But you see, whatever you do here is not, it's never good enough here. I'm not using subdivision surface, right? Maybe this can provide some. Let's see what's happening there. Yeah, a lot of intersection, so with the belly. So yeah, unfortunately this is not very, yeah, this we can solve with more systems, but yeah, spontaneously speaking, this wave paint layering is not working. Maybe we need to expand all this stuff all across, not only this, but all around. Yeah, something like here. Yeah, bring to the hip side. So the stronger waves, so this is might be an incorrect approach, although some riggers would recommend that, but yeah, there are good reasons, theoretical reasons for it, but it doesn't work. To work, it requires very specific considerations which are never explained so well enough by anyone that I know. So the thing here then is that we're gonna push these strong waves on the iteration more towards here. So there will be still a, so I need to do here is more of these problems that here I don't have well prepared face loops, right? So this is very sad. So maybe I can do something about, I don't know what's happening here. So probably some shape key madness. What you could do is try maybe, yeah, I don't know what's happening. Yeah, this will destroy the shapes. Yeah, I have some chessboard here to play with, right? So we can smooth on this. This is very feasible. It will not be ideal, but if it works, we'll be seeing good results, improved results. So yeah, it is feasible. So we're gonna, although not ideal, I don't have time to be doing all these changes on the, so we're gonna go back to the type, and here we're gonna push back these waves to something more. Yeah, we're gonna push back these waves to all across here. We're gonna reduce this, and the smoothing will be the wave paint layering, right? So we might require maybe expand this a little more. There's a mistake, but it doesn't matter for the experiment here. This is not being smoothed as I would like. I hate when this happens, so I have to and the smooth brush is not responsive. Okay, so we're gonna restart here. Smoothing. Let's try to catch some very low waves here in that old region. And so yeah, that should be the new adaptation. This is how I was doing it before, and but don't worry, folks. the last resource, which is horrible, but it's still a method, right? You need to have the respose of the character on a sort of a frog pose. That is the ultimate, because we just have one rest position in Blender. So there's no interpolation of rest positions. This will be a brilliant solution if everyone knows how to do this. But there's no way, there's just one rest position. And that means that, and this is very unfortunate, right? So that means that we can't smooth out the skinning method, like it can't interpolate itself, right? And so that means that we need to decide if the rest position is favorable to some regularity of the geometry of the character design on a T-pose, something like that, or if the rest position is good for skinning. Yeah, so this is bad for skinning, but it's good for other aspects of rigging. So it's like if we had two or more rest positions, we could have all in one card, all in one hand, and that will be the ultimate for the time being. All right, so here we got this. All right, then we're gonna go back for the, okay, so this is the pelvis tie. So we're gonna re-expand this thing towards that region there. And then we smooth. This one is less relevant, but it plays a role, so it's at least we got give it some minimal resources to be working with. Okay, I believe this one is good for this one. Then hip, no, not hip left, hips. So here, yeah, so now we expand. Something like this, yeah, then we work on top of that. Like to do stuff like this, yeah. As you see, they start to attack the leg, the upper thigh already a lot, right in almost middle thigh. But this should be okay for this approach. And if we could, it doesn't seem to be very much layered here. Let's try now. Okay, that sounds more likely. Then we have okay, let's try this. Then another thing, crotch, no, we don't touch this. Spine, maybe, yeah, maybe the spine. Let's expand a little more here. Stealing waves a little, yeah, from the thigh and the lower part of the body. That can contribute slightly. Okay, then blurring a little more this stuff. All right, then another. Fan. Okay, then we have this fan bone. So same thing. We're gonna. All right. We're gonna go again. We're gonna do the very accurate, exacting way here to start. It's already there. Okay, so we have this. Okay, for some reason it's become the mechanism. Okay, go. Wrong bone, but doesn't matter, the mechanism is not a deformed bone. Alright, what's happening here? Gonna delete all by hand here. Maybe they are interfering. Okay, not this one, this for the hand. Alright, so we're going to this again, so duplicate and Ctrl V. Fan pelvis tie, yes. There we go. So now you need to take off all this. And we're gonna, so it's countering exactly the same waves, but here we can smooth out exceptionally this part. This is not, these vertices here will not be matching exactly the type, but it will be smoothing towards the direction of the type. Yeah. So all this is, so when this bone rotates in place, it's a complete derotation because it follows exactly the invert of the rotation of the type. So it precisely derotate that mesh there on the same amount of the skinning method. So it's a mathematical way to try to reduce the amount of artifacts mathematically. So it's very accurate, but it doesn't, this is not what is gonna solve anatomic organic rigging. It can help, however, a lot, but it often is not sufficient. So let's go for the tests now. I think we've got everything again already, and let's see if now this approach. So this approach is not exactly too different than what I was doing. It's just that I have more waves here, but yeah, so this is very stupid actually. It's just like the experiment that I wanted already did, and apparently it just was not sufficient. So here what we see is that we are getting lots of intersection of the belly. I don't have a belly leverage system. Now I think that I can use this inverse kinematic setup for precisely this kind of leverage system. But instead of leveraging with automations, with transformation, bone constraint, and stuff like that, I could try to leverage this, the more natural, mechanically accurate regarding the human body. So you like to have some bones here that will leverage the leg, and these bones will, helper bones, will leverage the mesh, but from the Aiki posing, right? Or, well, not the Aiki pose, but somewhat it will be Aiki, but not just because the mechanism bone there, the thigh is moving like that. So they'll be like pushing some mesh. I've never tried that, and I think it makes sense because there is something about the mechanism of the body, the ball and socket joint of the thigh, that is very complicated, with the femur, with the hip, the pelvis bone. So they are not static. There is some sort of slight displacement because okay, so what we can see here already is that, yeah, this is way more favorable, right? But of course we have still the same garbage, but more reduced, right? Because now there is more stability in the hip, because we pushed this yeah, not here though, but here it's another question. So at least for the side we got some improvements, and yeah, then for this other, what we can say about this, not very good stuff, right? So indeed very creepy. So, and then for the back bending, fortunately I have a backup, so I don't need to do anything with this. I have to fix its bendiness here. Yeah, and this also is very bad, but you see it's not that bad, but yeah, this is actually very hard to fix this. But yeah, it could be worse though, right? So the thing here is that this wave paint layering on these diagonals, and even, yeah, I don't believe that more wave paint layering here would do any great improvement. So this is all that I've seen. It's like maybe I'm doing something very wrong, but it's all garbage, right? So we need to, indeed, the leverage system will help, and I have a leverage system already, but it's not based on a, so for example here we have some I key. These bones are architected for some leverage, so there's some crazy automations here, but it's just a Aiki bone constraint, right, for helper bones. We can now, I have a leverage system here that I'm not sure it is working, but these bones, they will leverage according, so you have a leverage belly, this can solve some stuff, but this one, leverage hip on this side, this can solve a lot of problems. So this is a natural mechanism of the human body that a stupid rotation of thigh bone rig will never solve. Even if we had the perfect skinning method, it wouldn't solve, because what we need here is some anatomically accurate mechanism. So this I found some time ago, and it is very indeed. But what I am interested in doing now is having this automation be achieved, if possible, by some inverse kinematics bone constraints to the helper bones themselves. I believe it will be more elegant, although I don't know if it's feasible. For example, but I have an example here that you see why this could work, is that I have here in this armature, I have the possibility of picking there is a thigh control thigh there, you see. I can leverage it. I can leverage the thigh by controlling the leg, the foot. But it's not I'm just not controlling the foot. I'm controlling the control. This is the puppeteer, master puppeteer skeleton. So it allows us to push anatomically correct. Well, maybe not anatomically correct, but in terms of skinning, right? It is doing something that if you just use the mechanism of the Ike bone constraint which stops in the thigh, of course this will not be sufficient to make good deforms on that complex joint of the hip thigh region, right? So of course it will not, because precisely we need this sort of mechanism here. Of course, so because this is very complicated to be done on the control rig, why not then, I already been thinking this for a while, but I just haven't found the motivation to do so. Now I think I can do. Instead of relying on this thigh here for the leverage, the control, why not do this, always do this to happen, right? But as with the the helper rig, right? So some bones here, as we leverage the leg, right, the thigh part in principle, the mechanism thigh is leveraged, then we will automate a deformed bone, that not this one, but a deformed bone in the skeleton. Maybe this one, or maybe another, I don't know. Yeah, probably this one, it's already there, so we can probably, yeah, we need to crush some of its setups here. Currently it's a bendy bone, but maybe it's not a good idea. So this bone will leverage, will suffer some, and there'll be other helper bones that will leverage as well. So we'll need some to be pushed, right, in some ways. We can do some stretch, we can do some inverse kinematics, IK locks, we can do a lot of stuff here. It's a bit tricky, but it's very satisfying when it works, and it's super cool actually. So here I'm still requiring some, yeah, and we can make a crazy skeleton of this stuff for the belly, for the like a curved net thing, but that works in inverse kinematics, but it will not respond to any garbage. It just responds to something like the mechanism thigh, so we don't manipulate directly these automations, so they can solve a lot of this. So this will be something that we'll like to achieve. All right, so we got progress in some of these experiments, and finally, okay, this file is garbage. I'm going to have to delete it, and then we're gonna open the backup. Yeah, exactly, the name is Before Ruining Pelvis Test of Wave Paint Layering. So let's save here as the new so just Dorothy blend file, there we go. So there are some cool stuff that I was looking at some the internet. So we, yeah, I was already mentioned. So this mesh is supposed to collapse, so we're gonna actually move this apart. Why is this not okay? The proportional posing not working with this grab. Okay, so GG, I didn't know. Okay, then we gonna, yeah, this will be slightly disruptive for this mesh, but that's fine. Let's push this away. And you do for all around the arm. And here, on the contrary, this is a simple joint, right? So this will be stretched apart, right? So instead we can approximate this joint. Of course, we don't want to ruin the shapes, but we can indeed approximate this these vertices, these edge loops. So you have some shape of a diagonal thing, no, an angular thing. You'll see from the side view, no, the front or back view. Now, of course, then I can readjust the shape, but I want the pattern to see. Yeah, there you see, we can see the pattern for me there. So they are creating this inverted V shape, right? Sadly, this will never I think it will never work properly for the complex joints, even not for the intermediate joints, because these joints, of course, you don't want to destroy the shapes here, so we can use the X-ray here to better easily locate this joint, these vertices. Okay, so this should be very favorable to prevent some, I don't know about the deforms themselves, but regarding the logic of the results, that would mean that we will be able to, let's say, where is the armature? Object mode, edit mode, pose mode. Why not showing? Ah, it's the overlays. Right, so here we can have an idea already. We can see what might happen there. Yes, it's far from, I need to fix some of the helper, but what we see, okay, the mesh might not be collapsing at the center. We have probably some very wrong waves everywhere, but the idea is, yeah, so the mesh is not collapsing terribly, and that will be better for the stretch of the, yeah. So this is a little risk, but these simple joints, right, is not what I care much about. So we're gonna do the same here, even though they're, let's see. Oh no, this is the opposite. So here, yeah, you see this is already quite far away, right? So yeah, so this is already quite far away, so I did unawareingly and we're gonna approximate here a little, but that's of course will be bad for the shapes. We don't have enough face loops here, so we just have go. Yeah, so there's little to do actually here. More, it was easier for the elbow. Yeah, whatever. So another thing that could be useful here, as I keep going on some of this stuff, let's see. Yes, there is the, I mentioned it in the beginning, that is this thing here, that we don't need to do this all around. So actually, where do we want to preserve volume is actually the question, right, that we need to be making, because this method does precisely this kind of thing. So we don't need this to be in the and we'll see in real time the results. So I'm gonna play with these waves here and see what that does. Okay, so you see that some rogue waves here seems to be very dangerous. Apparently there's a problem with the wave painting this. Yeah, this is not very responsive, so let's turn this off. Let's turn on. There's some problem here with the oh yeah, so some rogue wave from the hips, very bad. Could have, okay, anyways. See, apparently I can't wave this very well. We're gonna turn this off. It will be very hard to see what will be happening, right? So it's hard to say if that's an improvement or not. Okay, now it is on. Okay, maybe it's not too bad, right? So I'm curious about checking this interpolated waves, right? So this amount of smoothing, what it really does to the mesh seems not to be bad. Not sure here. Doesn't seem to be critical in any way, so yeah, we can have some. It's not that's acceptable. And here, yeah, I don't have too much mesh, so it's like yeah. So you see where it is preserving waves, and it's not helping too much, but. This is also because the rest of the waves are pretty bad anyway, so maybe here we could augment. Let's try this again. But if we yeah, this is very difficult. I don't know why this happens. Okay, this doesn't seem a bad idea. Or maybe it is. Yeah, so I'm gonna smooth this one. I have a lot of things to investigate. The ideal thing will be doing this from the simplest rig, and then from that start to complexifying, right? Hey, Duns and Starik, welcome. Why do you have the same cat figure? So maybe you change the name in the welcome. So doing some tests here with the waves. Okay, so we got this. Yeah, let's leave like this for the secondary armature object. Yeah, just these smoothed ones, and then I am the only one viewer. Yes, thanks. Yeah, so the sound is too low. Oh, I see. Thanks. Make it loud. I see. This. Hold on. Let's augment the mic and reduce the soundtrack. I think now it's better. Is it better? Thanks for pointing out. I wasn't aware. So possibly, let's see, preserve volume. Yes, it is preserving volume, but it's not very... The shapes are horrible, right? Okay, so there is some development there. And let's check those waves, right? And see what we can do about this. So I've made as... Okay, we can isolate this mesh here with the mask. And then we can check Shift Control X. Let's see which bones are affecting this. So there's a deformed forearm with very... I can't hear you clearly. Hold on. Maybe my microphone is not... It's failing. Okay, hold on. Voice. Well, my sound here is pretty loud, and where I see here. Yeah, if I don't know if you can't hear very well now, maybe it's something on your sound, but yeah, I fixed some stuff here. Usually people do not concern the music now, maybe it's not very loud. Yes, I know it's good. Yeah, so thanks for pointing out. Probably it was a bit low indeed. Now I think it should be a bit better now. I don't know if something happened to my microphone because it's a new equipment, sort of new equipment. It should be reliable, but who knows, right? Okay, so this forearm, it holds some waves here in the upper arm region. This could be, yeah, this is probably what's causing some crazy artifacts here. We're gonna fix this, take off some of these waves. Unnecessary, right? It was good maybe for a previous setup, but now it's just garbage. We're gonna try to smooth these ones. What are you teaching, by the way? Yeah, I'm making some improvements and experiments in this character. It's like a rigged model template that I'm doing, like a template. I'm trying to make a rig character that can serve as a reference for many multiple other characters with different character designs for story projects. So here I was making a battery of crazy rigging experiments that could work, some and others not, and very long and tedious, very few consistent results, but some interesting results. And right now what I'm doing is that this is there's a solution with double combo of armature modifier. One is the basic one, linear blend skinning, and then we have on top of that another one which just have preserve volume and multi-modifier and a target vertex group, which is what we're seeing here. And this target vertex group is just for, actually no, it's not this, it's this one. So in all the joints where we might want some preserve volume, we can make some waves here, which is just for this object modifier, a secondary armature bond constraint, and this will help. But this is very crude, the waves there I did, because they are red, they are very little smoothing. So I'm exploring, right, they don't need to be on both sides. They need to favor, in principle, where there is volume loss. Like usually, in this case, it will be in the in this inner part of the arm, in the elbow region, not in the elbow, right? It directly. So, but it could have some waves there, right? Brazil, yeah, Brazil. So then but my accent is not, my English accent is not very clearly as Brazilian, because I had other language past experience, and then it ended up not being very Brazilian accent. So this stuff start to happen when you learn many languages, and then you you don't know, your accent gets all messed up, and it's crazy, yeah. So then even in your own mother language you have accent, and that and then people may not recognize that you're from your own place, yeah, anymore. So this is still garbage. Let's get back to the forearm here, because now it's more basic stuff, right? I need to find where to smooth these waves. Okay, apparently there's some problem here with the wave painting, that it doesn't allow some, so I'm not sure what, maybe it's something about the multi-modifier. Yeah, maybe it's the multi-modifier, but wow, what is this? Let's get just disable this. This will allow the wave painting, yeah. There's also a technique of wave painting this that I don't quite remember, but we can see the results. Like we could have more waves here, like this is the forearm bone, and then, well, okay, you can get some waves here, but maybe either here or here. So I just can, yeah, probably something that, let's add here and see what happens. I had a bad thing here, Ctrl+Alt+F. Let's get this one. Falloff, right? So here, yeah, this is sort of pushing this. Is this good? Yeah, this sounds adequate. So we're gonna, how to learn rigging. Yeah, so the best way, I would say the best way to learn rigging in Blender is to start doing rigging with topics, with mini projects, but things that you like, right? So you start rigging by doing things that you are interested in. So for example, if you are interested in, I don't know, mechanism rigging of robots, that start learning rigging focusing on the mechanism, right? Of course, there are courses, some are paid, some are free on the internet, so you can, there are very good tutorials on rigging, but it's hard to find like a map without without a very structured course, or like the tendency in the internet often happened to me, right? I never did a full course or anything like that in rigging. Maybe I waste a lot of time. On the other hand, I learned a lot of stuff for myself, right, that I like. And so over long term, I became somewhat a specialist in, not in everything, but at least I can do original stuff for my projects and sometimes for project of others. Yeah. Any YouTube channel? Yeah, there are many YouTube channels. So really, it depends on what you are looking for. So the problem in the internet is, of course, getting lost with excessive tutorials. I think the best thing is that you need to know what you want. Why do you want to learn rigging, and what things in rigging you would like, because, and then when you know, maybe you know already what you want to do, and so if you tell me what you want to do with rigging, then you could start with mini project, and then I can recommend you some channels that have some good focus on that, because there are numerous ways of learning rigging and doing rigging for Blender, right? Like you can do rigging with geometry nodes, you can do rigging, nowadays you can do rigging with shape keys, with armature objects, usually it's armature objects, right? You can do, yeah, there are lots of crazy approaches and combinations of techniques. So the important thing is, I think, is to have a vision of what kind of project do you want to engage in, and then rigging, like you start learning rigging based on what you want, and that is for character and mechanical, like robot machine. Okay, so a bit of organic rigging, maybe, and a lot of mechanical rigging. Okay, so for mechanical rigging, you need probably to learn some armature stuff, right? So, and the drivers and bone constraints, both, right? For mechanical rigging, like you need to be doing some clock automations, stuff like that use some maths. Then this is a better deal for drivers. So unfortunately, there are not a lot of courses that are focused on drivers. A friend of mine already asked me, I don't know anything, but there are a lot of tutorials about drivers. So for character rigging, let's see, well, you're just starting, right? So maybe you should look at Rigify add-on, right? And they are generated rigs, because you can use them for both animals and robots, I think. You can, it's free, it's inbuilt, and you create a meta rig. But if you want something really new in rigging, in Blender, that I'm starting to learn, is Mantis Rigging Nodes extension. This allows node rigging. Yeah, so nodes rigging, nodes-based rigging. I don't know the full potential yet and the limitations of the extension, but I'm starting to learn it, because for me it could help some of my custom rigging stuff. So robots, right? I don't know a lot of stuff about robots. I just know, okay, there's this parenting to bone related, but drivers, right? Drivers, which are very bad because you can't symmetrize them, But apparently Mantis rigging nodes extension has a good automation for drivers. So if you're into new stuff, then try this stuff. It's free. And if you like node systems, then this is a way to get a full automation of a rig, right? A skeleton with nodes. And it's very powerful. The potential of this thing is crazy. And it's like for custom rigging automations. If you do custom rigs like I do, then it's very hard to batch this thing to make a lot of them. Right, it can duplicate, but there's no automation such as the meta rig and regenerate rig solutions that you find in Rigify. On the other hand, if you're not a master in Python scripting for Rigify add-on, then Rigify add-on doesn't allow much customization. It's very sad. And so rigging nodes can fill the gap there, and it can, in theory, allow any rigger that is disposed to do this kind of rigging by nodes. It has some interaction with the 3D viewport. Of course, you can automate, right? You don't need to put all the numbers for the bone positions on edit mode. You can do this with let's say a reference source meta rig for Mantis, and that use that armature object to catch the positions of the bones on edit mode, the bones that you manipulate by yourself, and then you use a I've made a highlight here, not highlight. Yeah, I made some. Hold on, let me find it. Where is this thing? There's a live stream that I've made just if you look at the video description of my videos, you'll see two things. For example, on this one, you'll see some Google documents, one with highlights and the other with, let's see here, where's the synchronization apply? Okay, here. Okay, look at this highlight here, and yeah, don't watch the full thing unless you have a lot. It doesn't need to watch don't need to watch the whole thing, but look at the highlights in this stream that I did yesterday, I think. Yeah, the Rigify, yes, they use all that. Yeah, so riggers also do all their stuff, but have to build everything from scratch, right? So this bone constraint, right? So this is very important, right? It's a great part of rigging is to learn how to use this custom rigging, right? Is know how to use those bone constraints. And so there are, so if you look at the video description of my channel, so there is one thing that is a rigging guide, something called like that. It's just a document with lots of reference to other riggers that made some tutorials on YouTube, especially on YouTube, with the timestamps. And if there are some topics, you do a Ctrl+F and you search for, I don't know, mechanical rig driver, or yeah, mechanical rig, for example, mechanism, I don't know, look for some words and you'll find a lot of topics. Yeah, I'm streaming day by day, maybe not in the weekends, but yeah, I'm streaming regularly now, and so yes, I will be streaming tomorrow, most likely. In principle, yes, but I'm not sure which topic yet. If it will be Mantis rig, if it will be this stuff, it will be scenery or other thing of Blender. Scenery making, world building. But yeah, I'll be streaming. I'm not sure the time, right? Probably in the morning or a moment like that. Okay, then. Okay, so this seems to be good enough for this forearm, but there we have more stuff. We have some shoulder here. Why do you... Let's take off these waves. It seems too much. No, this is probably good. Then here we're gonna upper arm. Let's change now this. Yeah, I think I can take off these waves here. Yeah, this is very disruptive. And then why I mentioned this, because the that channel there, because no, not the channel, that document, because you can find a lot of, if you have many questions, if you have patience enough for this search, you can look at these documents, many reference to certain problems involving drivers, involving I don't know what, and this often will lead to a lot of Blender riggers YouTube channels, some very famous, some not very famous, and some very good, some other not very but a lot of things, and with whatever I catch that I find interesting, I get there. But of course, if you start to don't watch everything, right? Just try to watch what appeals to you, right? And automation, yeah, look for keywords like in the case of robot, automation, mechanism, mechanical, yeah, stuff like that. Bone parenting, drivers, yeah, and then from there you, but I don't remember, I don't follow any rigger that I know that is doing robot rigging directly, so I can't refer to a specific YouTube channel for that. But I certainly, in that guide there, rigging guide, you can find the reference to a lot of, maybe if you search robots or machine, there will be some a few reference, but not too much, because I don't remember now having put any. It's not the thing that I research too much, but I can rig this stuff. You can use inverse kinematics for robots, for mechanisms. It's very interesting. Look for inverse kinematics panel setups. That can be helpful. Like if you are in pose mode, you go here, you look for an pose mode, right? You look here, the bone tab, and then you look for the inverse kinematics panel. So you can automate this stuff with either, for example, I have this could be used for robots, for example. I'm using a helper bones setup here. With, actually, I have a workshop, arm rig workshop. You look in my, that this can help you for robot rigging, maybe organic rig, something like this, but better than I have here. Where is it? Where is the helper? This is not a popular technique, but it is very interesting. Let's see, where's leverage? No, helper. Okay, no, it's hidden bone. I don't know. Unsolo all, show all. Okay, they are here. Okay, so you see this bone here. This is this stuff here. They have some automation for the so never worked like that. This isolate stuff here. There, okay, leverage. So if I control the shoulder, look at all this automation. So this could be a machine thing, right? So what we have here is some, what you have here is, this is a target of an Nike bone constraint, and these bones, they are, these bones here, they are in the Nike chain. I don't manipulate this directly, but we can. And so this bone is just parented to a mechanism arm here, and then the mechanism arm responds to this controller bone that I have here. And so I can do this, and these are deformed bones, so they help the skinning automation of this scapula. And same here. And so, for example, each one of these bones, they can be set with very specific automations here in this inverse kinematics panel, because they are binded to they are in the Ike chain of the Ike bone constraint. Actually, I think this one has an Ike bone constraint. Yeah, so chain length of 2, right, up to here, and then yeah, I need to use tail. This can vary, and then but we can use stretch or not in this option. So for example, yeah, here it's not completed, but we could use some Ike lock. So now this thing doesn't move at all. It will stay like always in that position. Or we could augment the stiffness, so it will be very stiff to do any motion, although maybe not, still not locked, it's just stiff. Yeah, so we could probably do so, and then we can use some limits to achieve certain. This needs the parenting thing to check these arcs here. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, not gonna touch these things. Let's reset here. I have here also some bones which use some mechanism, as we can see. So these are, here I'm using Auto IQ option for animation, also not very popular, but I'm using this for fingers. So basically there is you see this arc, red arc, this is a limit X. We don't see it, it's grayed out, but it's okay. It works. So there's a -30. I think it's this one. And there's a positive max 120, which is all the bending of the phalanx down there. So beyond that, I cannot pose with Auto IQ option. Could work with, also would work for, you see, there's a limit there. And this for each single joint. Same setup. On the lock Y and Z axis here, so it will just rotate on this axis as long as this is I keep posing, because if you pose manually, then you can do anything, right? But this is for I keep posing in principle. And then here we have some stiffness on this metacarpal. Wait. Okay, so this is not set up yet. Oh yeah, because it is on this one, they are reversed. So let's copy this stuff. Let's shift control V. I'm just transferring this data to the metacarpal. Yeah. And so this arc is the limit Z and the limit X, but it's a bit difficult to visualize. This one may be easier to visualize. Yeah. So this bone, when we pose it with I key, let's see, chain length of 1, okay. So it will stay on this range. So you start to see where, maybe you start to see where this start to become very good for mechanism rig, but it's good for organic rig as well. This sometimes is not very responsive in certain cases. So I'm grabbing the bone. This is the Auto IQ option that I'm using. So on Tools, Sidebar Region, Pose Mode, Pose Options, Auto IQ, and I have a shortcut Alt-X. So I can just enable it on demand. So now this is incorrect. So this is gonna zero this out. Actually, this is wrong resets. We're gonna just find the we don't need to fix this, but just it's a problem of they need to fix Okay, so now all this has been taken by the correct bone, right? Let's symmetrize this one, resymmetrize. Okay, there we go. Then, yeah, let's see. Oh, I'm feeling sleepy. I will come tomorrow. I see. Do you have Instagram? Thank you for suggestion. Maybe we're not there anymore. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, if you appear, I'll tell you that I've mentioned some tips. No, sorry, no Instagram. Welcome. Yeah. So these are some of the suggestions. All right, let's return to the fixing here of the wave painting. So for here, we're gonna expand the waves, but reduce in the inner part. Yeah, now let's leave like that. Let's see how this works now. Ah, much better, right? Starting to have some consistent effect. It's not bending exactly in the right direction, but okay. Then let's check what more. Upper arm. What can we achieve here? We can also enable this thing. Even better, yeah, but some problems here. No, we probably want to maintain these waves, but let's yeah, this will require some pose, some action, right? Yeah, let's bring this thing here. Wait, this is exactly what I didn't want to do. Let's see whichever. Okay, then we have the forearm. Maybe we want a little more waves here. Let's check again. Okay, all getting even bad. No, not better. Lots of artifacts there. This thing here, it will be time to let's address this. We have helpers that are maybe not ready. Yeah, they are not. If they are not twist arm lower. Why is this twist? Where is this from? Some rogue vertex group, but it don't have a bone like that. Because the deformed bone of the forearm is already a bendy bone, so it already have twisting features. So we just need here to, let's see, yeah, this thing. Okay, let's see if there's, yeah, it will be absolutely necessary to make an action here. Is this gonna, could this provide any advantage? We reduce this. Yeah, I'd really like to be able to wave paint this correctly, but apparently we have to do this like something like this, right? It's very bad. Maybe it's a bug, right? We're gonna do something like this. Let's see. Better or worse? Maybe better. Okay, then we're gonna expand. Then we're gonna take off these central ones. Yeah, okay, so something, we need some more radical smoothing here, right? And then yeah, let's do here manually. With the smooth tool. I've tried a lot of stuff. It's always very difficult to get any, even a simple joint, skinning, Stone Age, Neolithic Age skinning algorithms. Welcome to 2025. Yeah, no problem, no risk of rogue waves with... Oh, actually, yes, there's waves elsewhere, but... So, yes, risk of rogue waves with the blur tool. Let's try to smooth this thing. Yeah, it is very, very bad. I would like to leave it the most regular as possible, but it's like... to simplify everything, but it's not necessarily what will make the forms better, as it wasn't doing a fantastic job already. But yeah, it's smoothed out. We can work with it. Then it's more work of the... Oh, here we go. Forgot. Yeah, this is annoying. We always depend on this thing. To be checking the on and off. Okay, there we go. So yeah, so stronger race there, that makes sense. And then for the more complex joints, the intermediate joints is like It's very hard to tell. And here, yeah, we could probably here we could we can already do this. So I don't want perhaps to be preserving volume too much here. Let's try to simplify this stuff. No, I think this is too much. Let's resume with... Yeah, this should be fine. And then blurring here and here and this and now this, and yeah, let's check here now. See, there is no problem with the wave. Yeah, I see that probably you have some very asymmetric waves here for the... Yeah, probably here there's too much stuff going on here. I really don't know what this... Probably this bendy... No, it's not that. Here is symmetric, so why it is happening all this sheen? Let's look again. More strong waves here for the sheen. Exactly, too much strong here waves. Yeah, exactly. So we need some more waves for the sheen. It needs to have more participation towards the knee. And all this. Alright, probably here we can smooth this out. No, let's start with this. And here we have a lot of unnecessary waves. Sometimes they are good. Don't know what's going on there. Yeah, let's get this one face loop and that will be it. Yeah. Okay, this is not a problem of the thigh now. This seems to be too strong waves here for this, too much stealing waves for this. Okay, so what we can do. Smoothing is horrible here. Yeah, more in this area in the front. Okay, and less behind. Yeah, I'm considering also simplifying this mesh because this face loops there might be just overdoing stuff, right? It's cool for certain shapes of these areas, but yeah, that might be, maybe ending up triangles would be much better, right? For various reasons. And yeah, this preserve volume technique is doing very subtle results. Not bad, but it's not. It's like one more thing to take care. My goal really would be to achieve the most with the least, with of course, with a model that is not totally low poly, right? It's like a medium low poly maybe. And yeah, so it's very complicated. Anyways, here we got essentially tried everything, and Ike helper setup for that. Okay, so all the techniques are very hard, but the best thing that I found was the how we can give the penny helper bones of the pelvis rig there with some give this bone some automated delta by natural stuff, right? So that was the good thing, and so I think I'm gonna try this approach, and then also leverage of belly, side hip, and buttocks and gluteus with a helper leverage system with Ike bone constraint. Yeah, that will be good also. So the annals for these other details, they are just yeah, unfortunately we made a lot of other tests, and very hard to obtain good results with all this in the current state of the rig. So folks, that is it for this time. Maybe experimentation and more production on maybe another topic subject. Thanks for watching, folks. Take care and happy blending.